Cool. Hi, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for coming to this session today. I'm so excited to be here with you folks. Yeah, thank you so much for joining us. This is the Power of Art for Climate Policy. And this is going to be hosted by Youth Climate Lab, which is very exciting. So, Youth Climate Lab is the organization I'm representing today, and we are located on the unceded, unsurrendered Algonquin and Anishinaabe territory in what is currently known as Ottawa. So, a little bit of background for folks who might not know what Youth Climate Lab is. We are a youth led global nonprofit seeking to support and strengthen a generation of leaders to shake up the status quo of climate inaction. So, our vision is for young people, no matter who they are or where they're from or what their background is, um, to catalyze transformative climate action in their communities from the highest levels of decision making to just the grassroots as well too. So, a quick little introduction for me. My name is Cameron. I use she, her pronouns. I'm calling in from Treaty 1 territory in what is known as Winnipeg, Manitoba. But yeah, a fun little fact that I always like to share about where I'm from is that Winnipeg is actually derived from a Cree saying for muddy waters. So the first part of Winnie is muddy, and then Nipeg is means waters and the Cree language. We have really two beautiful rivers that flow through the city. And that have historically and culturally been used as trading routes, as well as hold a lot of cultural significance as well too. So yeah, it feels really wonderful to be so connected with water everywhere I go in my city. But yeah, a little bit more about me. I get to wear a few different hats with my environmental work, which is really fun. But like I said, I'm here with Youth Climate Lab today. So with Youth Climate Lab, I'm a program specialist, and I get to run this really awesome program called From Root to Sky. So essentially, it is a space for BIPOC youth to get together every 2 weeks and just to build community, talk about climate emotions, as well as build capacity to engage in anti-racist climate action. So yeah, that's a little bit about me and what I do, and I also get to do really fun things like this as well. All right, so it would be wonderful to get to know who is in the room as well too. I know that I've chatted with a few of you kind of before the session started, but I would love for folks to share in the chat what their name is if they feel comfortable saying their pronouns. Kind of how you connect to the lands and waters that you live on, as well as the relationships that you hold within your community. So, really thinking about your identity, volunteer work, involvement, family, and how that connects and grounds you to the land. It doesn't have to be super in depth. And yeah, I know that this is kind of a vulnerable question as well too sometimes. So don't feel like you need to drop anything too personal, but would love to start to get to know some of the folks in the room. So I'll give everybody a few moments to yeah do a little introduction of themselves in the chat. And just for the sake of time, we're going to keep going, but I would love for folks to be able to populate the chat whenever they have a second. Yeah, it's always great to get to know the folks that we're going to be hanging out with for the next 2.5 ish hours. All right. So I'm just going to go over a couple little bit of engagement tools and how we can chat and get to know each other throughout the session, as well as a community agreement. So there are a couple of different ways that we can chat and engage while we're here together. I don't believe that there is a raise hand section or option for this platform, but that is okay. Folks are totally feel free to just put stuff in the chat, and I'll definitely be monitoring it. If you have any questions or if you need like a check-in or you want to slow things down or things don't make sense, just toss them in the chat. I will let you know and I will make sure to catch it and we can figure it out. Um, but yeah, we also do have the Q&A section as well too. So if you have like something that's very a question and you really want to answer, then that is you can put it there as well too. I also do believe that there are captions at the bottom as well too. So you can do that, which will be really great. And I will give folks the heads up as well too. You might need some tools for what we're going to be doing in some of the activities. So if you have a piece of paper and a pen, that would be great. We are going to be doing some kind of virtual activities as well too that I'll be throwing some links in the chat. But there is going to be a fun little you're doing it with your hands thing. So if you can grab a piece of paper, either a pen, pencils, anything that you like to write or draw with, and a pair of scissors, or if you're really good at ripping things, you don't really need a pair of scissors. But yeah, you can grab those and that would be great. And kind of the other thing that I do want to go over before we kind of dive into things a bit is a quick community agreement. So, for any folks who aren't aware or have never really heard of a community agreement or you've never participated in one, a quick kind of rundown of that is that we do just want to be able to foster a safe and inclusive space for everybody to share their thoughts and opinions. And this is just kind of a really wonderful tool for all of us to come to agreement on how we're going to be interacting with each other, how we're going to be speaking to each other, and things like that in our time together right now. So we ask that everybody uphold these kind of community agreements together, and a few of these do include, you'll see them on the screen, but respecting each other's experiences, participation in calls, um, listening to learn, respecting one another, asking any questions when you need to, as well as the reminder that all questions are valid and someone else is probably wondering the same thing. So don't be scared to ask questions. Um, and yeah, we would love for you folks to be as interactive as you can as well. And also just kind of the reminder that we are all responsible for being here. And yeah, just the reminder to take care of ourselves. But hopefully that sounds good to everybody. I might leave the floor open for a few moments. If anybody has any specific accessibility needs or anything that they feel like they would like to add to the community agreement, then we can do that as well too. So feel free to. Oh, it's so awesome to see people putting things in the chat here. Oh, it's so great to. This is my favorite part about running any type of session is always seeing where folks are calling in from, and yeah, really wonderful. But again, if there's anything that you need throughout the session, toss it in the chat. We will get to it. We will find a solution. We will work towards something all together. But hopefully, all of these things sound good to everyone. All right. So this is our agenda for today. So right now we are in the first part of it, the welcome and the introductions, um, as well as we are going to kind of dive into a part one and a part two. You guys are going to get a break in the middle of it too, which is really nice. I know that most folks are probably on a screen and have been on the screen for a lot of the day. So yeah, we'll be taking a break, so you can look forward to that. But for the part one, we are going to do a little bit of context building, talking a little bit about what is art exactly, and talking a little bit about policy as well. And then we are going to go into our zine making activity, and then a very fun collective visioning activity. After that, we're going to have about a 10-ish minute break. So you can stretch, get some water, do what you need to do. And then after that, we are going to go into the part two of our session, which is going to be the fun part where we bring everything together. We're going to be talking about designing policy ideas, as well as an intro into this really awesome tool called or an intro into this really awesome tool called the Policy Idea Canvas. And then we're going to get to use the Policy ID Canvas, which is also really fun. And then we're going to do a quick closing, and then we'll send you off to wherever you're headed next. All right. So hopefully the agenda sounds okay to everyone there. And then we can start to dive into things. So, what is art? Who can create art and why use art in general? So, a lot of us may have an idea of what art should look like, and what kind of counts as art. And a lot of folks, including myself at some points, may also feel like art isn't necessarily something they're good at or something that they can actually use as a tool. Um, but we can see this quote on here that anyone can create art because anything that is created by art is art, which is a really wonderful reminder. So art can be drawing, collaging, storytelling, in action, thinking creatively about something, or finding a new or different approach of doing things. We can find art everywhere on the streets, in murals, graffiti, in protest signs and posters, songs, stories, poems, and textiles. I think a really wonderful way to look at art is the idea that it's kind of expansive, and there are so many different opportunities to make and create. And yeah, it's a really, really endless bucket of opportunity for what you can create. So, who can create art then? So, there may be many barriers placed on ourselves about our relationship with art and telling ourselves that we're not good at it or that you need talent to create art. Additionally, there are barriers from society where only certain types of art created by those upholding systems of oppression are seen as an artist. So, this prevents us from thinking about art as a tool that can be used for self reflection, self expression, um, creativity in a way that is not strictly aesthetic, community building, advocacy, uprooting systems of oppression as well. So, also do want to acknowledge that systemic oppression also creates barriers from accessing and making art, especially for communities that are disproportionately impacted by the climate crisis. So, these systems are fearful of the emotive and mobilizing power of art and when it's going to be used by these communities. So, again, why use art? There is no correct answer to art, and the process of creating a creative thinking allows you to come up with unique ideas and solutions in the movement. Sorry, I'm like trying to like balance between two screens to get the slides to go and also like speaker notes. Hopefully it's going okay. So we're going to go a little bit into arts-based methodology. Um, if folks have heard about it or if they haven't, we're going to dive in right now, so it should be fun. So stories bring perspectives together in a very tangible, emotional, and relatable way. It challenges the colonial constructs of knowledge and associated expectations that lessons are detached from emotion and unrelated other teachings. So, climate change is about people, and stories are the most powerful, vulnerable, and holistic way of centering conversations around communities and people. Art as a form of climate action can be anything from storytelling, digital art, collective visioning, collaging, anything in between, anything that you can think of. Um, what it ultimately seeks to do is really bring communities together to understand and reflect and express emotions related to climate change, as well as offer a more accessible way of sharing stories and experiences. So, artists really do have the ability to convey complex emotions through their creations, allowing for different emotions to arise, affecting both the state of mind and the artist and the art itself. Additionally, art also has an integral tool in communicating and understanding lived experiences, offering a powerful tool to increase awareness and understanding the impacts of crises such as climate change. So, perspectives shared through art can influence individuals and their relationships to their human and non human communities in a more digestible and accessible way to the wider community. So, bringing stories to science, movements, and to news, and to many other places as well too, can shift the minds of individuals and in turn shift the minds of society. So, art really does have the power to mobilize communities and have seismic shifts in society. So, I'm going to toss this in the chat here. But I'm really curious. I would love to hear from folks. Um, have you ever considered using art as a tool for climate action? If you have, that's that's cool. Would love to hear about it a little more. But if you haven't, or if it's something that seems a little scary or a little out of reach for you, yeah, would love to hear about maybe why you haven't considered it, or if there are any barriers that you're personally experiencing, whether that be more individual or societal and systemic barriers. But I'll give folks a moment or two to, if they want to, yeah, toss some things in the chat. I know that for me, I've never really considered myself an artist. But yeah, I think that art is a really wonderful way to express a lot of emotions. And I mean, I don't know, I think that a lot of young people are also really stressed about climate crisis and climate change. And there's a lot of eco anxiety that's um, being held by a lot of young people today. I know that um, yeah, I don't know. I have a friend in Vancouver who's working on this like really, really cool zine, specifically talking about eco anxiety. But I can maybe send that in the chat in a little bit. But there's some really, really cool ways to do it. But I see that Parveen put something in the chat. I've seen and used art to convey other social issues, but not climate action. I think it would be really powerful, but I've never considered myself to be an artist in the past. Oh yeah, and I feel like that's kind of like the first little bit of um, yeah, getting over the barrier. There is that we shouldn't have to consider ourselves artists to be able to make art. I think that we are all artists deep down, as well as I know. I think that the creation of art is such a wonderful way to express or just to practice like anti-perfectionism and really kind of a lot of those like very like colonial and Western ideals of if we do something, it has to be like perfect and it has to like hold like monetary value. Um, but I see Eva also put something in the chat. This is an interest I explored when I was a practicing artist. I looked at urban sprawl a lot and how our land is used, and hadn't in a few years since I'm not practicing now. But I think it would be great to bring a fresh lens to the youth I work with. Beautiful, yeah. And I think that, yeah, as I was kind of saying before, art is such a wonderful way and such an accessible way to be able to talk about a lot of these issues as well too. Um, and honestly, like maybe one of the funnest ways as well too. I don't know. I'm a bit of a policy nerd, but I don't know. I know that not everybody likes to look at a piece of like white paper with a bunch of text on it. So art is definitely a lot more of a fun and accessible way for most folks. um, yeah, to learn and to mobilize. But thank you folks for sharing. I really appreciate that. Um, and then maybe during our break, I will find the zine and I'll share it with you folks. I know that they're publishing a second version of it right now, which is really great. They're doing really cool work. Okay. All right. So I also wanted to highlight something else as well too that is really cool. So the Art for Climate Justice tool that Youth Climate Lab co-authored and like co-published. I think it was in May of this year. So the Art for Climate Justice tool was developed by a group of capstone students from the Dalhousie College of Sustainability with the mentorship of YCL. So it centers kind of the main question of why and how can art be used to mobilize change? How is art integral to building the just, climate resilient future that we all deserve? And it covers a couple of themes, including art as emotion, art to encompass diverse perspectives, art for personal and collective expression, as well as art as community building. So this toolkit, yeah, it has a bunch of different things. They did like a really fantastic job gathering a lot of these resources in this toolkit, but includes things like case studies, statistics from community research, and reflections to further prompt thinking and reflection. And you can see some examples in the slides here. I'm also going to quit sharing my screen for a second and share with you folks a we'll do this real quick. I'm going to share. It's really awesome to be able to talk about things, but it's a lot better to show them, I think. So this is the Art for Climate Justice Toolkit that, yeah, was in May 2023. So hopefully we can get this to work. So yeah, on the side here, we do have all of the wonderful people who co-authored, doing really wonderful stuff. And then we're going to go over a few of the kind of case studies and things that are in here. So the first one that I want to go over is art as an emotion. So I'm not sure if folks can see it, but I'll read it out loud. if we want the visual audio thing going. But artists have the ability to convey complex emotions through their creations. They can depict what they were feeling at the same time when the art was created, or a specific emotion that they wish the audience to feel. So this can happen through the art's subject matter, or the elements it uses, such as color, texture, tones, things like that. So it talks a little bit about the creative process as well too, as well as creative thinking. And there is a really fun definition of what creative thinking is on the bottom there too. Um, but essentially, creative thinking is believed to stem from making connections to the past experiences, ideas, feelings, and more. The creator draws from the multitudes of thoughts and experiences all at once. So this allows different emotions to arise, affecting both the state of the mind of the artist and itself. Engaging with art to experience the associated emotions is a method of creating an indirect human connection, which is really beautiful. And I feel like this is an idea around art that a lot of people um, obviously feel very, yeah, can feel very deeply, but it's always fun to have things put out in words as well too. So we're going to flip through here as well. Um, Also wanted to just quickly walk us through the art to encompass diverse perspective section. Um, so I'll read this one as well too. So for millennia, the arts have been an integral tool for communicating and understanding the lived human experiences. This remains true to this day, as through art, we are able to increase awareness and understanding of social problems and movements. Through art, multiple perspectives can be included in the discussion of climate change. Perspectives shared through art can influence individuals and their relationships to their community and non-human communities. So art can express ideas in the absence of words. Thus, artists can convey messages digestible to a wider range of people. An art piece can depict complicated, even opposing concepts in concrete ways, putting the meaning and interpretation in the hands of the audience. When art contains diverse subject matter, such as climate change, viewers have the opportunity to develop their own opinion. So we have a few case studies here. Um, but we are going to quickly go over the Princess Mononoke little bit as well here. It's one of my favorite Studio Ghibli movies. And yeah, I wonder if hopefully other people have seen it. If you haven't, you definitely should check it out. Um, yeah, art doesn't just have to refer to traditional visual art like paintings or drawings. You can enjoy art without realizing it. Museums, plays, movies, songs, books, pottery, jewelry, fashion, photography, dance, chalk. They're all examples of art that you may encounter on a daily basis. So here we have Big Yellow Taxi by awesome Joni Mitchell. Was written after a visit to Hawaii. She noticed that the breathtaking view from her hotel was obstructed by a parking lot. And the song shares the need to appreciate, not destroy, the beauty of the environment. As well as we also do have Princess Mononoke here on the other side of the page. Princess Mononoke is a Japanese fantasy film addressing relationships between humans and the environment, taking a whimsical interpretation of detrimental effects of human greed. So the film is Studio Ghibli, like I mentioned, and focuses on the themes of emotion surrounding things like environmentalism. So I would definitely, yeah, definitely check it out if you're interested. And then we're going to go through um, art for personal and collective expression as well too. So artists have long relied on different mediums to help them portray their ideas of different realities. So this allows both artist and viewer to see the world from fresh perspectives. The creation of art is often based on the artist's feelings and their desire to express their emotions. And this encourages a connection between the artist and the viewer. So, art is a communication tool for creatives, allowing them to express what words can't. But this can also manifest new ideas, inspiration, as well as prompting emotions among audiences, as we've talked about before. So, art provides a unique way to approach communicating knowledge, problems, and difficult topics. Stories and information can have different meanings and interpretations depending on the way that they're communicated, verbally, visually, or audibly. The wide variety of art forms that exist all act as a useful tool for digesting and spreading information to the public. So, rather than standard scientific and academic approaches that follow rigid guidelines, we're going to talk about something called art based approaches, which is some language putting to yeah, putting some language to using art for different things, different fun things. Um, but art-based approaches are more fluid and encourage self-expression, emotions, and personal perspectives. Art-based approaches emphasize participants expressing themselves, their lived experiences, and their perspectives. So art adds depth and context to better understand other people's experiences, which is a really wonderful way to look at things. I think it's really beautiful to kind of have that very holistic perspective on things rather than, yeah, just looking at the data or just looking at, like it said, very rigid um, academic boundaries. But then we're going to go through one more here as well too, very quickly, art as community building and how that can be used as a tool. So human experience and our communities are influenced by arts and culture. Music, food, festivals, clothing all depict how closely tied to culture and community we all are. So the arts serves as a tool for communities to address social problems and engage people in empathy, action, and thought. Art is successful in rallying support, sparking conversations, and creating a larger sense of community, especially in times of conflict. Outside of activism and targeting large problems around social injustice, arts build communities through empowering the quality of life as well. Um, the arts also provides health and wellness benefits to communities by providing creative outlets and reducing community stress and anxiety, assisting in trauma recovery. Furthermore, the arts help bridge cultural gaps in communities, as well as improving social inclusion, livability, and identity as well. But yeah, that is that there. Hopefully, oh, thank you so much, Eva Parveen. I really appreciate that. I will definitely send it along to the folks um, who designed the whole thing. They did such a wonderful job. I'm going to toss this in here as well. Um, for anybody who may be interested or would like to hold on to it or continue doing a little reading, I'm going to continue sharing here. And hopefully, yeah, we got it there. Perfect. So, as our fun way of going to be, yeah, engaging with art, we're going to be talking a bit about zines, and we're going to be making our own zines. So, zines are essentially a collection of artwork that include images, text, doodles, absolutely anything that you want to put in there. And they've been historically used as kind of like a subvert capitalist, heteronormative, patriarchal, and white supremacist ideologies through lived experiences, as well as creating a platform for those underrepresented in the mainstream and publishing worlds. So it sounds like a lot, and it can sound very intimidating, but I promise you, it really is. You can do it with just a piece of paper, which is very fun. Um, so zines, they are incredibly powerful forms of communication and forms of art, and they are like incredibly accessible for folks as well too. So zines are used as a platform for storytelling, especially stories that are often lost and underrepresented in the media, like I mentioned. They can be used as tools for reflection, freedom to reflect, brain dump without censoring via publishing institutions and capitalist establishments, as well as they are also 100% owned by the creator, and you have full ability to decide what to do with the work and what you want to put in it. Um, and yeah, and kind of lastly, zines kind of do also allow for an ambiguity for creatives to freedom, for freedom, flexibility, as well as again promoting low barrier forms of art. I'm going to show this here, but here are a few examples of a few zines. Um, yeah. Um, so yeah, zines help us to reflect and communicate the gaps that currently exist within our communities, and what solutions can also be created and designed if something was to change. Um, so I will also be introducing these really cool things called envisioning future prompts, they're going to help us make our zines pretty much. So you can put anything in your zine to support your reflections, words, drawings, doodles, again, absolutely anything. Um, that comes to facilitate a deeper reflection and challenge you to reimagine the world that is more climate resilient. There is no wrong way to make a zine. I'd like to stress that. All right. So, in a few minutes, we'll each be creating a zine based on the question, what does a climate resilient and more equitable community look like in 5 to 10 years? Imagine that you already have that future. What does it look like? What does it feel like? What does it sound like? If you don't know where to start, I'm going to toss this in here as well. So this is the link to what is being shown on the screen right now. You can try out the Envisioning Futures cards to spark some ideas about what kind of climate resilient futures we want to live in. It's basically a virtual deck of prompt cards. So the cards on the left are in yellow, and they encourage you to kind of reimagine a world where the statement is true. So you can imagine, what if our economy centered well-being rather than growth? Um, yeah, and how how would these things change in climate action in your community? On the right is the purple card, where the prompt asks you the impact of the world in which the yellow left card is true. So, also, I do want to say as well that the slide deck is or the card deck is bilingual. So if you like French, then you can also do that. But if something comes up in French or English and you don't really feel comfortable with it, you can just click through, and you can honestly just click through until there are cards that do kind of speak to you a bit. So I will also send these guys as well too. These are a few of the other zines that were shown on the previous slide if you're looking for any inspiration. We are only going to take, I would say, about 20-ish minutes to be able to do this. So yeah, um, nothing has to be too complicated, but I'm also going to share this with you as well. Go. But yeah, we're going to dive into making zines very quickly. And again, this is a space to explore a medium that you might not have tried out, and as a way to think about climate action through perspectives that you might not have considered in the past. So have fun, offer yourself the freedom to just let your mind wander, to write down or to draw or to put anything that you want on in your zine. Um, yeah, and we're going to play and see what creative solutions and approaches that we can come up with. So I put this on here. Um, so hopefully folks will be able to figure it out. If a visual also helps more, I can also kind of like, I don't know, I made one here as well too. So we can go through it together if you'd like to see how it works. But if this is fine, then that is all good. And I see that we only have a few folks here. I was going to create breakout rooms for folks to get to work together, but I think that maybe we can just stay in the main room here. And hopefully that sounds okay. But I'll let you folks get started. I do have a few other little prompts and things beforehand, but yeah, I'll let you folks get started here with kind of how to make a zine. And hopefully this makes sense. I'm going to this all of these instructions for how to like fold it and everything are in. Oh, awesome. That is so wonderful, Eva. We do have so many more tools as well too about starting off with the zine and then how that really relates to how you can use it to influence and create policy. So that's what we're going to be doing after our break. So hopefully there are a few more tools that we can share as well too. And feel free to email me. And there I have a lot of things to share if you'd like any more resources. Um, but yeah, if you need any type of more visual or anything to be folding the zines, it is in the last link I sent there as well. All right. So again, if you're feeling stuck, I have a couple prompts as well too. What kind of words come to mind immediately when you're thinking about climate action? What is one image that you would use to describe this world? Um, and again, just a reminder that the zine is only for yourself. You don't have to share it with anyone unless you choose to. So feel free to do whatever you want on it. Um, Sometimes the hardest part of all of this is putting down one thing. So once you can do that and you can either draw or write down one thing, I promise you it'll get a lot easier after that. Yes, totally, Eva. Here, I will I'm gonna toss my email in the chat there. Feel free to send me an email and I can compile a list of some more resources for you that might be, yeah, suited, yeah, good. Oh my gosh, I can speak today. Well suited for high school and junior high students. And I think as well too that a lot of these things can be tailored to talking to elementary school students as well too. I think it's always important to make sure that yeah they're involved in these conversations as well too. I'll put this on here. But yeah, we can. I'll give folks about 15, 20 minutes to work on this if they'd like to. I'm also going to try and play some music. Hopefully, it sounds okay. All right, and I'll let you folks know when we're going to start wrapping up. But I'll let you get into it. Just wanted to hop back on here and say another 5-ish minutes to wrap up what you got going so far. And again, yeah, you can spend as much time as this after the session if you want. But yeah, another 5 minutes before we kind of all come back together and talk a little bit about what we did. All right. Hopefully that was a fun activity for everybody. I'll give maybe everybody a minute or two to kind of join us back into the space. Hopefully that was relaxing and a nice way to spend. I guess it's a Friday afternoon. Um, but yeah, hopefully that was good for folks. So Um, since I think that we have a bit of a smaller group here today, I was going to have us in breakout rooms to work on this next little portion of wrapping up the first part of this workshop. But I think that we can probably stay in this big room here. I'm going to toss this into the chat very quickly. So this is a Jamboard here for anybody who might not be super familiar. They're great. I love them. They're really wonderful for brainstorming, just kind of brain dumping anything, everything that you might want to be thinking about or talking about. So we're going to do a little bit of a share back of what a climate resilient and equitable future and community looks like for you in 5 to 10 years. So really kind of thinking about, again, what does that feel like? What does that sound like? What does that look like? Any type of ideas that you wrote down in your zine. And you can kind of express it in any way that you want to. There are a few different, here, maybe I will share my screen really quick. We'll do this. This guy here. So, okay, cool. So there are a few different ways to do it. You can write down a sticky note. You can change the color, which is also great. You can also upload images if you'd like as well too. You can upload straight from your Google Drive. You can look up images on Google. You can put a link in and you can toss it in there. There's also a text box option as well too, so you can write this and then write anything that you want to as well. And I believe this is also, oh, here, there's also the drawing option too. So if you feel really confident drawing on Jamboard with a mouse, then that would be like incredibly impressive. But I think that I will let folks do that for, we're going to work on it for about 10-ish minutes. If anybody has any thoughts that they would like to share, that would be really wonderful. And hopefully I saw one person in the Jamboard. Was wondering if folks are able to access it all right. I guess I can start off. Maybe I can write a few things. That for me, what a climate resilient and equitable community and future looks like for me. I think it really revolves around centering BIPOC voices within climate policy, um, and as well as amplifying historically underrepresented forms of knowledge. I think that that's personally a big one for me. I think that when we look historically at the climate crisis as well as the climate movement, yeah, there are a lot of voices and forms of knowledge that have been left out and very unjustly left out. I think, especially when we're thinking about Indigenous folks from across view only. Oh no. Here, let me see if I can do this. Hopefully, this works now. Sorry about that. I'll put this in the chat again, and then hopefully it works. All right. Yeah, let's use that guy. And then hopefully the access works there. Okay, awesome. I see people have joined. But yeah, for me, that definitely looks like, yeah, seeing, oh, perfect. Awesome. Thank you so much for letting me know, Eva. But yeah, for me, that definitely means seeing, yeah, leadership in with diverse perspectives and lived experiences that are, yeah, helping inform climate policy in new and innovative ways. Yeah, if folks have any other ideas about what they think, um, yeah, a climate resilient and equitable community looks like in 5 to 10 years, what you think is manageable to be done in 5 to 10 years from now, yeah, feel free to write it down in any form that you want to. And I'll give you a few minutes to do that. I think that thinking about sound like is a really interesting way to frame this question as well. I think a lot of the time we're thinking about, yeah, like what does it look like? How do we do this from like a legal standpoint? How do we do this from like an organizing standpoint? But I think that what does it feel like and what does it sound like? It really brings kind of like the human perspective to things, and how we can further the climate movement. So yeah, I don't know. I think that sounds like for me, I don't know. I really like birds, and I think that being able to hear the birds all the time would be really wonderful. And I think that that is climate resilience, and that is environmental resilience. Is taking care of, yeah, the species that we share our land and our space with. I see we have a few other folks who have joined us right now. I'm gonna throw this link in the chat again for everybody. But we are just doing some brainstorming right now about what a climate resilient and equitable community looks like in 5 to 10 years. So feel free to hop in on there. Ooh, I see this guy here from somebody. I think our laws need to change and take the climate policy more seriously. If the laws are in place, people will have a harder time pushing nature out for convenience. And I totally agree. I think that laws do need to change surrounding climate policy. Um, I'm based in Manitoba, and there is this really cool group called Consider Climate Manitoba that's really pushing for climate policy um, to be considered within all like provincial policy decisions moving forward. And I really think that yeah, we're in a crisis right now, and the way that policies are going to be affecting climate does need to be taken into consideration. And when we think about it, climate really it touches every single sector. It touches every single part of our lives and our living beings. Um, and yeah, we need to be considering how certain things are going to be affecting the climate. But yeah, I definitely agree. We do need stronger climate policy, and we need stronger regulations for the folks who are most responsible for emissions and climate change. And we really do need to be taking that responsibility away from the individual and really focusing it back onto the companies and the industries that are really, yeah, really in charge, not in charge, yeah, really responsible for the climate crisis that we're experiencing right now. Curious if anybody else has any more thoughts. Maybe I'll give it another moment or two. Hello, I see some more people have just entered. Thank you so much for coming to hang out. We're just taking a few minutes to, yeah, talk about what we think a climate resilient and equitable community looks like in 5 to 10 years. So if you are able to access the Jamboard in the chat, feel free to join us and write down anything, everything um, that is in your heart and in your mind. And I see one more here. Sorry, my like screens are so small. I have to like open them up so I can read them. Um, the truth is, we will have better mental, physical, spiritual, emotional health if we are taking care of our earth and each other and living more connectedly. And that is so true. That is so, so true. Thank you so much to whoever said that. I think that there's such like a deep and profound interconnection between taking care of ourselves and taking care of our environment. I know that for me personally, this is just even like a small thing, but like getting outside and like getting like a fresh of breath air is just such a healing thing, or being by the water is such a wonderful and healing thing, or yeah, going on to see some trees. I don't know. But I definitely do agree that, yeah, we will have better mental, physical, spiritual, and emotional health. Um, we will all just be better people, I think, when we start caring for the environment. Yeah, beautiful. Wondering if anybody else has any more thoughts to share. I think that I'm going to write something down as well too, leaning into the what does it feel like. Um, I think for me personally, it feels supportive. I think that it feels supportive and it feels hopeful. And I think that, um, yeah, supportive, hopeful. And I think that there would also probably be some sort of inkling in the air that youth are able to create change, and they're able to be leaders within the, yeah, climate and environmental movement. Hello, I see we have a few more people joining us right now. Maybe I'll share this really quick again in the chat. We will do maybe another moment or two for the new folks who have joined us. If you would like to, just put in the Jamboard anything off the top of your head about what a climate resilient and equitable community looks like and what you think is achievable in 5 to 10 years. All right. Well, it seems like the Jamboard is slowing down a little bit, and that is all good. Um, Feel free to access that whenever you feel fit. Maybe in a few moments, like you're gonna be like, "Oh my gosh, this is what I want for the future, and this is how I want to be living. What is going to really truly define like climate resilience and community and equality within 5 to 10 years." So feel free to keep populating that if you would like to. I am going to look here. Um, but yeah, thank you folks so much for engaging so far. I hope that that was kind of like a fun first little introduction to things. We are finishing up, wrapping up part one of this session, which is so crazy. I can't believe that time flies so quickly. But thank you so much for staying engaged and for hanging out for so long. I really appreciate it. We are going to dive into part two, where we're going to be talking about all of these wonderful things that we've imagined, all of the wonderful things that you've written in your zines and the ideas that you have, and start talking about the policy side of it and how we can get there. And we're really going to get our brains working and going. Talking about policy solutions that are inclusive and holistic and coming from you. So, which are all wonderful things. But yeah, thank you so much for engaging. We are going to actually take, we're going to take about a 12-minute break. If everybody wants to come back right on the hour, I believe that I'm central, so it's 3 p.m. for me. So I believe it's 2 p.m. for everybody else. So if you want to come back in, 12 minutes, right on the hour, we'll get things going again. Yeah, thank you so much. I'll see you guys soon. Go stretch, take a break. I don't know, maybe go look outside. Maybe it's beautiful. Maybe go outside for a little bit. But yeah, do whatever you need to do. And I'll see you folks back in 12 minutes. All right. Welcome back, everybody. Um, Hopefully, you were able to take those few minutes to recenter yourselves, get some water, get some tea, maybe stretch a little bit, do whatever you needed to do to get comfy. But yeah, I wanted to welcome everybody back to the space. It would be really wonderful if maybe I could get like, I don't know, like an emoji in the chat, or something from folks just to know that you're back, or just like a hi, hello. That would be really wonderful. Then we can, yeah, make sure the folks are back and we can get back into things. Um, so yeah, if you're able to drop an emoji in the chat, that would be really wonderful. Or whatever you can, just to let me know that you're back and you're here and you're still listening. Awesome. I see one emoji. Um, if other folks are back, would love to see an emoji in the chat or a hi, hello. Just a little anything. Just so I know that you're back and you're ready to get things going again for part two. And I will give folks as well a little heads up. We are going to be getting a little more interactive moving into this next part. You guys are going to get to be working with each other to, yeah, talk about policy solutions. Maybe for the sake of time, we'll keep going, but hopefully folks are trickling back in. And yeah, again, if anybody has any questions or anything that they need from me, feel free to drop it in the chat and we'll figure it out. All right. Um, so I was going to do a bit of a share back, but since we were all kind of doing that together earlier, I'm going to just quickly go over a few of. I think that there were a couple more sticky notes that got added as well too. So I'm looking here. It seems like based on the sticky notes that we have so far, there seems to be a lot of focus on, yeah, caring for ourselves and also the kind of like the through string of that of caring for the environment and how those two are interconnected, and how that is something that we want to be doing. We want to be taking care of ourselves as well as the environment in a wonderful, beautiful way. Um, Looking as well too, again, focus on laws and, yeah, stricter climate policies, I believe, and making sure that people are not forgetting about also taking care of the environment. Um, but yeah, I do think it's really interesting focusing on this kind of like more space for ourselves, and really focusing on the interconnection between human well-being and environmental well-being. I think that that's a really, really cool thing to that maybe we can explore a little bit when we start talking about the policy canvas. Yeah, based on kind of these visions of what you imagine your communities might look like, if they were more climate resilient, more equitable, um, we can start working backwards a little bit. So, what's going to be needed to be able to achieve all of those things that you folks want and that you put on the Jamboard? This is where we're going to start diving into the second part of our session. So, introducing the policy canvas. Yay! This is like a very fun tool that I'm really excited to share with you folks. So, we've reflected on using our zines in our breakout, our, yeah, sorry, not in our breakout rooms, together, all as one group. Um, and we've talked about how it can inform policy ideas that can be developed to collectively work together and towards a climate resilient future that we deserve and we want to live in. So, the point of this exercise was to really encourage exploring and thinking about climate solutions in a creative way, with community justice and equity really at the center and at the core of that. Um, and really, as well, too, kind of at the core of that, thinking about what you want as well, too, and not necessarily what folks in policymaking positions want or what folks who are high up in specific sectors want, but thinking about what you want. And I think that that's very important. So we're going to transition now into developing these ideas into policy ideas. So this is a picture of the policy canvas. Youth Climate Lab loves to use this. It's a really great tool. I've used it a handful of times with folks, and I've facilitated a handful of workshops similar to this, where we're talking about policy ideas and how to create policy ideas in a way that is a lot more accessible. I find that policy can be a very big and scary word for a lot of folks, but really, a policy is just a decision. It's just a decision on how to do things. And I think that there's a lot of jargon that gets kind of wrapped up in it, but at the end of the day, it's just a decision on how to do things. So hopefully this is going to be a little bit more of an accessible way for folks to be thinking about it if you've never thought about policy before, or even if you are like a policy nerd and you are like reading up on like the new like cap and trade announcement that got announced yesterday. But this is, hopefully this will be a new fun way of thinking about things for folks. So the policy idea canvas is essentially designed to help folks identify and clearly communicate a policy idea or multiple ideas. So we already went through kind of like the first section of challenge mapping, where we identified ways that our community could improve and what the gaps are. So as a group, you're going to go through the rest of the canvas together. And the goal is to ultimately reach a policy idea from your group with kind of the main theme emerging from the visioning activity that we just did. All right, so this next portion is going to take up the majority of our time together. So you're going to spend about 35 minutes. I'm going to create a breakout room for you folks. So hopefully you'll be able to actually like chat and share with each other. But you'll get to go through the policy canvas. So you're going to take about 5 minutes to introduce yourself to the group, get yourselves grounded a little bit, orient yourselves, do whatever you need to do. And then you're going to start on the second section of the policy, the policy idea canvas, which is solutions mapping. So as a group, you're going to take about 5-ish minutes to discuss the solutions that you developed using the zines with the prompts listed on the canvas. And you're going to brainstorm ideal outcomes, reflecting on existing opportunities to implement solutions and ways to transform systems and structures of inequity. You'll then move on to the next section, which is the impact gaps section. So this section will help you focus on what is actually needed to change. So you can reflect on what will push the identified problem to become a solution. And I would say to spend about 10 minutes on this section here. Then you probably guessed it, you move on to the next section. So you'll then kind of further your focus of your ideas by identifying the intended impact of the policy, different tools and capacity building needs, financial mechanisms, if that's what you're into, pretty much anything else that might actually be needed to actualize this idea. So you're going to spend about 10 minutes here as well too. I also do want to say that sections 1 to 3 are mainly brainstorming. And I would really just encourage trying to spend the majority of your time on section 4. But once you finish and you're feeling good about section 4, you're going to try and just refine your ideas a little bit. See if there's anything else that you're thinking about that you might want to add, anything that you think that you missed. And then we're going to move on to the last kind of 3 sections at the bottom there. And you're going to spend about 5 minutes refining your policy idea and hopefully coming to a conclusion and next steps. Refining those ideas kind of in those last 5 minutes, but just making sure that it's specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, as well as thinking about the time constraints and making sure that it's time bound as well. So the goal is to leave finishing this policy idea canvas and to come up with, it's a fun little acronym called SMART ideas. So essentially this means S for specific, meaning that they're simple, sensible, significant, measurable ideas. So also meaning that they're meaningful and motivating, achievable ideas that are agreed and attainable, relevant ideas, so reasonable, realistic, resourced, and results-based, and T, time-bound ideas. So, at every step, just make sure that you're writing down your thoughts in your breakout room with Canvas while moving as time continues to keep going as it does. You can use the sticky notes on the Jamboard. You can write things down again if you're really confident at writing on Jamboards. That's wonderful. I'm definitely not. But yeah, I would suggest using the sticky notes is the best way to kind of work through this. Um, yeah, the our process today is to limit ourselves in time and getting thoughts down, and to practice kind of using the tool, walking through the thought process and what it would be like to inform holistic, collaborative policy creation. So, but yeah, we're going to be very like constrained on time with this, which I'm so sorry for that. I wish that we could talk about this all day. But this tool is available for free on Youth Climate Lab's Toolbox. I can send it in the chat as well too, for folks who may be interested. But realistically, you can come back to this tool whenever you want and spend as much time on it as you would like. But today we are just going to be doing a little bit of it right now, spending a little bit of time. So I'm going to create some breakout groups here. Let's see, how many folks do we have here with us? Give me 1 second. And then, yeah, we're going to have about 35 minutes. You know what? I don't think that we actually have enough people in this room to be able to make a breakout room, which is totally okay. I'm going to just share this again with you folks. I'm sorry, I wish that we were able to do this as a group, but I'm going to toss this Jamboard in here again. And if you go to, here, let's do this. The Jamboard here. We have a couple, if you start at slide 5, you can go there, and then there are the policy idea canvases here. And I think that we have 3 or 4 people in the room right now with us. So if you'd want to work on it individually, we can definitely do that. And I think that that is a great way to work around the not being able to make breakout rooms. And yeah, so all of the instructions are on the side there. If you need anything, let me know, send a message in the chat, but I'll give you folks about 30 to 35 minutes to start working on this and to start, working through it. So yeah, as I said, we've already kind of done the challenge mapping part of this, thinking about the issues that are already happening in our communities. And we've already kind of done the solutions mapping, thinking about, or we are going to do the solutions mapping part now. So start thinking about some solutions to how we're actually going to get to the climate resilient and equitable futures that we want. But does this make sense to everybody? Is there anything that I can clarify? Please feel free to drop a message in the chat, drop a message in the Q&A, whatever feels good. I'll maybe give it a moment or two in case anyone has questions. But yeah, if there are no questions, I will let you folks get to work. I will say that we will be doing a little bit of a share back after the 35-ish minutes are done. So I will say that. So if folks would like to share, that would be wonderful. Or if folks would kind of just like to have the policy idea canvas down, and to write their ideas and their policy ideas, feel free to let me know, and I can also share for you as well too if there's something that's written down on there. But yeah, all right. So I'm going to start the timer, and go away for a little bit and let you folks get to work. If you have any questions when you're working on things, again, just drop them in the chat. I will happily answer them for you folks. But yeah, I'll be here watching the chat if you need anything from me. But I'm going to start the timer for about 35 minutes and let you folks get to work. All right. See you soon. Hey, Edward.
Hi, sorry, my mic was muted.
Oh, no worries at all.
Yeah, sorry. I think like there was a miscommunication and like the people may have left to go to the other sessions that started at 2. Um, your session was supposed to go until 3, right?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. I mean like you can still continue to finish it and then like people can view the recordings. It's just that like people have moved on to the other sessions. Oh my goodness, it's it's been a long day for us, so
Oh my gosh, no, I believe it. And like props to you guys for, yeah, I don't know, putting on like such a long and like
It's so
wonderful.
crazy. Yeah, I mean, like, and also it's during the working day, right? So you can imagine, like, the turnout is not that high.
Yes, yeah, yeah. But I don't know, hopefully it seems like you folks are doing great work and that I don't know, I think that that number in the top right-hand corner, it looks like there's 72 people hanging out.
Yeah, 72 people is we're around like 70, like 50 to like 100 people a day, depending on the
Mhm,
sessions, and then like the people have their interests and stuff. They bookmark
mhm.
the ones that they want to attend, right? So, yeah. Are you almost finished with the presentation? Like,
Yeah, yeah. Honestly, like the presentation itself is finished. This was just kind of like the last activity to like wrap everything up, and to get folks to
oh.
come up with like a policy idea. And then it was
Oh,
just
jeez. I mean, like, I don't know what to say. I can't speak for the other audience members, you know what I mean? Like, I can't believe they left you. I've just been
um,
so I'm the only IT guy, so, like, I'm just, like, running around, like, making sure all the
Yes.
other speakers are, like, set up properly. They were scheduled to start at, like, 2 p.m., right? So,
Oh,
I think
yeah.
around 2 p.m., that's when the people switch to the other ones.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's all good. I think that the presentation itself is pretty much done. I'm just gonna take a look at my notes here. Um,
Yeah, don't
yeah,
worry. We'll edit the recording so that, like, you end it, like, at a proper notes, and then you don't have this, like, awkward end conversation with you and me.
yes.
Oh my goodness. I don't know what to say, like, I can't force the attendees to attend your full session.
No, don't worry. I honestly like I run like a biweekly program for Youth Climate Lab, and it's like a very similar thing. People will just like come and hang
Just
out for a little
randomly
bit and
leave,
then just
right?
leave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. You can't force them to stay, right? Like, what can you
Exactly.
do?
No, so don't worry. I totally understand.
Yeah. Like, for my part, like, I really apologize. I should have been here, but, like, I had to make sure the other speakers were we were set up for two, right?
No, yeah, I totally understand. I feel like there are a lot of working parts behind all of this. So
Yeah,
hopefully
we have, like,
everything. Mhm.
sessions starting, like, yeah, on the hour, so
Yeah. Well, okay. Well, that sounds great. I can just finish up, like do a little conclusion. And then if I just leave the meeting, does the recording quit and it's all
yes,
good?
as soon as you finish, and, you leave the page, it will finish, and then, our staff will edit it, like,
Okay. Awesome. Thank you so much. Yeah,
yeah.
that sounds
Thank
great.
you. Yeah, alright. I'll let you finish.
Cool. Thank you. All right. Thank you everybody for engaging in that and coming to hang out for this session. I really appreciate that. I hope that each one of you found this tool or the conversations that you've had, or any type of new insights that you've had today and during this session, and hopefully that you're able to take them away from this workshop and to continue to advance climate action within your community. Um, and I hope that, yeah, one thing that you can take away that challenged you to think about, yeah, solutions and development differently. And I hope that those reflections continue even past this workshop. And hopefully you'll carry them and they'll help inspire your work moving forward. So, with that, I wanted to say a big thank you to all you folks for being here and hanging out. And um, yeah, all of the tools that we access today can also be um, yeah, accessed through the Youth Climate Lab website. So it's on the screen there. If you go to the Youth Climate Lab website, you should also be able to access the Youth Climate Lab toolbox. Or if you go into Google and you look up Youth Climate Lab toolbox, all of the tools and a bunch of other really cool resources are also going to be there as well too, to start thinking about, yeah, climate action and how we can be shifting perspectives in our community. But yeah, thank you so much.